I would say over the course of time and going through these different chapters, I then became more entrepreneurial than I was manager, but I still had the strength of the managerial element.
When starting a business, you're really the only one who sees it, and then now it's up to you to go out there and illustrate and put it on a paintbrush.
How could this technology replace me? I don't want to be doing 30 phone calls. Is there technology out there now with AI and so many different softwares and stuff like that, which we'll get into what you're kind of doing, that could replace that?
That's a good point, bro. You say you weren't an artist in that year, but when starting a business, like I feel like first it's like a little seed that just gets implanted in you. Obviously you're inspired through somewhere else, but it's that vision that you see, like, of course, like, damn, this is possible. And then you talked about the artist and then the manager on the entrepreneur. I'm curious to know, and I'm sure a lot of people here as well is when starting a business, you're really the only one who sees it. And then now it's up to you to go out there and illustrate and paint and put it on a paintbrush. Are you playing all three parts when you're starting a business, and do you have to?
I would say I feel like I'm in all three parts now. But to put context on that, I am, if every year of entrepreneurship is a chapter in a book, I'm in chapter 9 or chapter 10 of this book that is my life. And I would say when I was in chapter 1, I was for sure not all three. Like I was, like I mentioned before, I was more of a manager.
Yeah.
I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but inherently, like my more dominant trait or frame of thought was manager. I would say over the course of time and going through these different chapters, I then became more entrepreneurial than I was manager, but I still had the strengths of the managerial element because of, I would say, my entire adult life was in the Marine Corps. I was indoctrinated with systems, processes, standardized operating procedures.
Association.
And and it's like that was a way of life for so long, and it's a comfortable way of life because you know where you're going. With the order of operations, you have an understanding. Once you follow a system and process, there is no fog or cloud on what is the next step. And that's what's great. If you think about when you drive your car and you got to go to 4 houses that you've never been to before, it's a lot easier to get there if you just plug it into GPS and follow the instructions that are given to you by Siri or whatever the GPS says. Whereas trying or aiming to get to these addresses without GPS, right? So the systems and processes are the GPS to your business. With the evolution of your own skill set, how I became more entrepreneurial, I feel like is I became more confident in my own abilities, and I saw what I was able to do and see through. And when your confidence increases in a certain segment, your risk tolerance may then increase. Whereas someone who had never done something, they are not confident in doing that thing. And so because they're not confident in their own abilities to execute or implement, their risk tolerance may not be as high as yours would be.
That makes sense.
So like in comparison, like my risk tolerance is high as shit compared to a lot of people I know who are not entrepreneurial.
I think that comes with time.
Right.
That also comes with, like, we hear the saying a lot.
And design.
And living, right?
And design.
So, but what I'm thinking is, like, we hear it all the time. Like, we'll see a young high school kid that's selling candies, flipping candies, right? We've all heard that story. And what do we say? Oh, he has an entrepreneur. She has an entrepreneur heart, right? It's deep within us. But I think when we first start a business, and I'm thinking more from like the solopreneur side, right? We all have this vision of growing with 100 plus employees and this and that, right? Or we have a big sales team, whatever the case may be, big brokerage. We start as managers, operators, right? And then we genuinely let's just say we build the cash flow, we build the vision, we want to get to the next level, and it forces us to start thinking bigger. Now, a lot of people don't get to that level, right? Some people just stay where they're at, and that's cool. That's where they want to be. That's their goal. They have other dreams and goals. Maybe their goal isn't to grow a big organization or business. But I would say is now, let's just say you've reached that goal and you're like, you know what? I'm tired of trading hours for dollars. Now let me find a way to replace myself. Now you're forced to think like either the artist or maybe even like the entrepreneur, right? How can I grow this thing a lot bigger? And it starts to kind of like, you start to fail forward. You start to find systems and processes, maybe even technology that, hey, how could this technology replace me? I don't want to be doing 30 phone calls. Is there technology out there now with AI and so many different softwares and stuff like that, which we'll get into what you're kind of doing, that could replace that, right? I feel like, I think you kind of graduate your way through those 3 levels to ultimately you becoming and you having a lot more risk tolerance and saying, hey, I like my chances. I think that we could really succeed at something like this. I've learned through all my experiences. Let me find somebody that's a great manager or a great operator to be able to drive this thing for me, right?
100%.
Yeah. So I know that, and again, kind of segueing into this topic in this segment is you're building some sort of a technology or software as well. Talk a little bit about, because I think AI, having the conversation on AI, I would say we're in the AI generation now. Like it's the future, right?
Yeah.
It's how can we earn our time back and let the majority of our businesses be automated. I was reading an article recently that I think with AI, the first $1 billion company ran by 3 people is going to be actually possible because of AI doing so much of the heavy lifting.
I think it was Instagram or one of these was like less than 10 people. It was great. Yeah, it was great. I think it was one of these social media platforms that went.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I had a valuation, but of employees. But talking about your risk tolerance, bro, you said it's skyrocketed, like it's crazy high now because of your confidence. Talk to us. What are your ventures now with this new risk tolerance and obviously knowledge that you have? Like,
so the new venture now, it's a software company. I originally designed it predominantly for the fitness industry. There's multiple use cases, whether it's at the franchisor level, franchisee level, independent contractor, or a gym that simply just has employees. But there's so many different use cases. It's a sales and marketing all in one platform, and it will standardize operations. It will give consistent follow-up, nurture, all of these things that when you are a solopreneur or even when you have a small business, it will do these things because machine and system is reliable. Machine and system and technology, it doesn't get hungry. It doesn't get tired. It doesn't stop working at 10 p.m. at night. It continues to go and it goes. We people, we the humans, we are the variable. We're not perfect. We mess things up. We make mistakes. And that's where at scale, AI can execute and do a certain task without fail and be consistent in that sense. And so the software that I founded and built out, it essentially does that. So let's say when inbound leads come in, they're immediately being engaged with the conversational text and email. And if they reply, then there's another reply back to what they just said. And we aim to self-book those people who reply to those text messages. If they don't self-book, but they reply with questions, then AI will then engage in the conversation. And the way that the AI assistant is programmed, it has the framework of what it's supposed to do. And so the context of how they should engage, what is appropriate, what questions should they ask, and have empathy, compassion, and aim to set an appointment on the calendar. And the AI assistant can be programmed for different use cases. So like whether it's financial services, with financial services, I would say that you likely have a certain set of basic qualifying questions that will make someone qualified or not qualified to be considered a target audience or a good prospect or lead. And the same thing in the world of real estate. You want to uncover if they are a buyer, if they are a seller, are they basically qualified? Do they have a pre-approval letter? These are the kinds of things that an AI assistant can systematically and consistently ask as soon as someone enters the system, whereas the person, they might be sitting on a podcast. They might be out to lunch. They might be at Disneyland with the kids.
Getting their time.
It might be 11 p.m., but the person opted in at 11 p.m. on a Saturday night because that's what they're looking into. Mm-hmm. And the question lies, how long does it take to engage with that person if you don't have systems and processes and leveraging technology in order to make contact and push the process forward to whatever it is that they want to ask or uncover, especially in this day and age of instant gratification. If they don't receive the response or answer from you, well, they likely will continue being curious and look for another person who may reply back at 11 p.m. at that point. But those are some tidbits of the foundation of it with AI. It's really important because we don't operate 24/7, 365 days a year. Will AI replace people? I would say not in the foreseeable future would AI replace people. I would say that the people who familiarize and leverage AI will replace the people who do not familiarize and leverage AI.
We just had Leo on the podcast, and he did a post recently that said AI will not replace real estate agents. AI will replace agents that don't use AI. Right. Yeah. And I think that that's very true. Like, I think right now you're an entrepreneur and you keep hearing this AI stuff. Like, you got to jump on and you got to integrate at some point. You have to
take time away from
it's like mission. It goes back to it goes back to what you're saying, right? Mission or die.
Yeah. And I would say this, like, I think a question that might come up, how would someone that is leveraging artificial intelligence, how would they replace me? Like, I don't understand it. I can't connect the dots there. And the way in which they are replaced is because their quality of service or lead time will be quicker, right? So if they're able to do more in a shorter period of time, and they're able to cover more ground in the same period of time. So even if the person is phenomenal at what they do and they're not leveraging technology, well, the person who is leveraging technology will be able to cover more ground in the same period of time. So what does that look like? What that looks like is they'll be able to close 5 deals to your 1 deal. And then perhaps that doesn't necessarily replace you or take you out of the ball game, but you go ahead and compound. Like, what if that's 1 week? Right. So if that person is able to convert or close 4 more deals to your 1 per week, how does that compound over 52 weeks? It's a lot. It
kind of goes back to that Kobe Bryant story we started with, man. You're starting at 4 a.m. It's like you have AI, you're starting at 4 a.m. every single day. So imagine that times, like you said, the whole year. Now people starting in the summer, people barely learning AI a year from now, you would have your systems processes in check. That if you're talking about this now with us right now, Andrew, on this date in January, imagine when we revisit this conversation and we see you a year from now, you're gonna be like, bro, there's this other AI stuff that does this. It's gonna be crazy. So
it's continuously evolving. I have over 2,000 hours invested into utilizing, leveraging artificial intelligence. Like, for example, with Simplex, the software, I had a conversation with the franchise, and this was last year in July. And we were having a conversation about artificial intelligence, and they the IT guy for the franchise told me that he was building out something similar to what I already had established. And the difference was, he said to me that I was 18 months or I was 12 months ahead of where he was at with his development. And then that in itself is what awarded me the business, because they looked at it as, well, why are we going to build what he already has if it's going to save us 12 months of time? And so because I familiarized myself and leveraged the technology, I was awarded some business that is going to be really fruitful by having the solution already established.
Congratulations, brother.
That's huge.
It's big, man. Yeah,
That's
big.
huge.
I think there's a lot of blessings going around here, man. And I think the biggest one was you being on the podcast, bro, because I know Pablo and I definitely took a lot from this. And if we did, I can only imagine the audience, what they took from this. And, bro, I mean, January is packed, and I feel like it's a great way to start the year. People listening, they got the operations, the systems, the sales process, the AI, etc. Andrew is the man to go to for obviously everything that you learned here today. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Pablo, anything else you want to
Man, just thanks for coming on, man. Thanks for carving out the time. I know that beginning of the year is definitely busy for a lot of entrepreneurs, and you know, we got a lot of things going on. Obviously, you building out the software. So thank you for coming out. Is there anything, I always like to say, is there anything that you, maybe that we didn't cover in the prior segments, this segment, that you wanted to get out? Any advice for 2024 to entrepreneurs out there?
Yeah, you know, I'll wrap it up with this. I would say that whether your life is great right now or it's not so great, know that you have the ability to make it better or keep it right where it's at. We have absolute control over what we decide to do on a day-to-day basis. And if you decide to not do something different, well, you're gonna get the same thing. And the moment that you decide to do more or just really continually focus on you, that's when life will get better exponentially over the course of time. Like there's no instant gratification with where you want to be. I would say that although I'm in chapter 9, like I can't wait to get to chapter 15. And every year is the best year of my life. If you want to get in contact with me, follow me on Instagram, Andrew Cruz _101. I have a coaching consulting program that if you feel like you'll benefit from, I'd love to chat.
There it is. There it is, guys. So we'll drop his information down in the comments below. And again, bro, thanks for coming on. And yeah, if you found value in it, like Armando said, like, subscribe, share it with somebody, drop a comment down below. And we'll see you guys.
Word, educate and elevate. For any guests that maybe came on, you're like, dude, I loved it, and any of that programming, just drop the word what E&E, and then that's how you know. But
there it is.
There we go,
guys.
Cool.
Appreciate it.
We'll see you guys next time.
Oh yeah.